Here is a quick rundown on how to ruin your life. If you really want to ruin your entire life as fast as possible, forget about bad luck, enemies, or a tragic event. Look no further. You are sufficient. Hide from the world first. It usually starts with how you carry yourself. You stop standing tall, your shoulders sink, your eyes stay on the ground. You avoid eye contact like it's dangerous. Without saying a word, you signal to the world that you don't want to be seen, heard, or approached. People respond to that energy. Conversations disappear, opportunities pass by, and slowly you convince yourself that you're invisible, not because life ignored you, but because you hid from it. Escape discomfort at all costs. Then you reach for the easiest escape, your phone. Any moment of discomfort, boredom, or silence becomes a reason to scroll. You check it even when nothing is there, not because you need it, but because it protects you from real interaction. Over time, your brain learns that avoidance feels safer than engagement. You forget how to talk to people. You forget how to sit with your thoughts, and you train yourself to run every time life asks for your attention. Waste time and avoid responsibility. Next, you stop respecting time, especially other people's time. You show up late or barely on time. You rush. You're unprepared, not because you couldn't do better, but because doing better would require effort and care. When things go wrong, you don't own it. You explain it away. You blame traffic, circumstances, other people, anything except yourself. Each excuse makes it easier to repeat the mistake and harder to trust your own word. Eventually, this becomes a belief. Nothing is really your fault. Life just happens to you. Success feels random. Failure feels unfair. You stop seeing yourself as someone who shapes outcomes and start seeing yourself as someone who just reacts. And when you believe you have no control, you give up the one thing that could change everything: responsibility. Chase attention instead of connection. While around other people, you start chasing attention instead of connection. Every conversation turns back to you. Every story has to be topped. You stop listening because listening doesn't give you validation. You don't ask how people are doing, or if you do, you don't really care about the answer. Slowly, people begin to feel drained around you, not because you're evil, but because you're exhausting. And one by one, they drift away. Judge everyone. When you're not talking about yourself, you talk about others, usually in a negative way. You point out flaws, you judge, you mock, you bond over shared bitterness. It feels good for a moment, but it poisons your mind. You train your brain to look for what's wrong instead of what's good. Compliments become backhanded, joy becomes uncomfortable, and bitterness becomes your default setting. Lose your identity. In the meantime, double down. Stop being consistent. You say one thing and do another. You change depending on who's watching. You don't stand for much, because standing for something would require clarity. Over time, you lose track of who you really are. Your values blur, your identity weakens, and without realizing it, you become someone you don't fully trust. Wish. Instead of planning, you start wishing. You imagine a better life, but you don't build it. You wait for motivation. You wait for confidence. You wait for the right moment. You fantasize about being saved by luck, by someone else, by a future version of yourself that never arrives. You reject the effort required to change, but still expect the results. Choose comfort. Then you begin to shrink. You choose comfort over growth. You avoid hard things. You stay weak, tired, and distracted. You convince yourself that discipline is punishment and that pleasure is freedom. Little by little, your world gets smaller. Fewer risks, fewer dreams, fewer reasons to try. Accept despair as identity. Not long, despair sets in. You decide that you're broken, that it's too late, that your mistakes define you forever. You stop believing in forgiveness, especially your own. And once you believe you are beyond saving, you start acting like it. After all, if this is just who you are, why bother changing? At this point, my friend, congratulations upon ruining your life. Now, my question to you is, do you really have to do this to yourself? Let me know down in the comments section, and be sure to leave a like on this video. Stay blessed.